Hey everybody, how's it going? Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV, being joined with Olympian, former world champion, disc golf GOAT, Ben Askren, who just is about to release his memoir, Funky, that comes out on October 25th. Mr. Ben Askren, good to see you. How are you, my man?
I'm doing great, having a good day. Gonna have a busy day after this. I got a bunch of things going on tonight.
So I want to be honest with your book, man. I've always been a guy that's been an underachiever, and I've failed a lot. And I read your book, and it made me feel good to fail. Like it's okay to fail. You shouldn't take it so much to heart. And there's a really great quote there that you mentioned in one of the chapters. Losing happens, but dwelling on it is what defies a loser. Man, you've been able to handle the struggles and the losses so well in your life, and even better when you compare it to the pantheon of athletes. When fighters lose, a lot of them take it really, really hard. And some of it, for some of them, it completely destroys them mentally. They're never the same again. But not you, man. You're an example where it's never affected you.
Yeah, I think it was because growing up I wasn't good. I wanted to be good at wrestling, and so for me, not losing or being perfect, there was no virtue in that, because it wasn't something for me. It was just I want to keep getting better. I want to go compete a lot, and when I compete a lot, I get better. So I'm gonna go compete a lot, and that was what I did. So I took a whole bunch of losses, and obviously, I saw the result. The results to me were, I got better, and I got better, and I got better. Kind of every single year from, say, age, I don't know, age 11 to age 24 or somewhere in there, when I retired. And so, yeah, it was, that was kind of it for me. Just keep competing, keep showing up, keep doing the best you can.
Yeah. You're not being afraid to fail. And a lot of people are afraid to fail because, it's a hurtful thing. It hurts their ego.
Yeah.
They're worried that what other people will think.
Yeah. Definitely doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But no, but but you understand that's what it takes.
You touch on, your beginnings in wrestling and then your transition over to MMA. In terms of the MMA part, what do you think was the most gratifying period of your career?
Ooh, that's good. That's a good question, because usually everyone asks me for my career, and to me, it's easily some of the wrestling moments, and so I always lean into those. I would probably say two. The final fight in Bellator, I just completely demolished Andrei Koreshkov, and he was a high level guy. I mean, I think maybe probably at highest he was say 9 through 12 ranked guy in the world, and I just humiliated him. Beat him in every single position for 18 minutes straight, and then made him quit. That one felt really good, because that was when I was, in the beginning of my run there. I got kind of deemed boring or whatever, but a lot of it for me was I just wasn't good at MMA yet. It was I won a Bellator belt. A lot of people forget this. I won a Bellator belt 18 months after I started training. Right away. I'm the champ, and I got to defend it right away. And so that one felt really good. And then the other one would be the Robbie Lawler one, just because it was I've been kept out of the UFC for such a long time. We talk about the trade, and we talk about how my first contract negotiation in 2013 went south, and it was this was such a long time coming. And so probably one of those two.
That Robbie Lawler fight, it's still such a great fight to watch. I still remember the feelings. It was such a roller coaster freaking fight.
A roller coaster.
Yeah, dude. Because at first you're oh shit, he's out, and then you're how the hell did you recover? And then it's you got the bulldog choke, and you're wait, is he out? Is he not? Okay, he looks like he's out, and then the ref goes in, and you're just what the hell just happened?
Yeah. Yeah, so probably one of those two, I think, is probably what I would lean on. But yeah, usually people ask me a question about my career in its entirety, and I usually lean towards making the Olympic team or winning my first NCAA title or that type of stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned in 2013 how you felt like you were going to the UFC, and that stuff went sour there, and you never really got an answer from Lorenzo, from Dana, and that even to this day you haven't really had an explanation as to what happened.
No.
Have you ever had an opportunity to ask Dana yo?
No, I never had any conversations with Dana while I was in the UFC. The one time I did was It was actually during the Jake Paul times. And so I just I just never, I never did. I guess it was just kind of quick conversation, never thought about it. And now I was like, I wish I would have brought it up. So who knows? Maybe someday I'll get to ask him those questions.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like just based on what you said in the book, like you never really had any any contact with Dana, and then you have contact with them once you're gone for this Jake Paul fight that you had.
Yes. Strange, right?
It kind of, yeah, I guess I would have brought it up, but I know how it is. Like you don't remember these things sometimes either. But there was an interesting thing there that you mentioned that they, I think as like a goodwill offering or something, like they offered to buy you a suit or something.
Yeah. Those guys showed up looking like a bum. My first press conference, I don't wear suits or fancy clothes like ever. And, I'm like trying to be the good kid. They said, hey, dress up in something nice. I'm like, oh, fine, I'll wear something nice. So, I don't have any nice clothes. So I wore some like average, very average, nice clothes, Um, and then someone else showed up wearing sandals and a t-shirt. I'm like, I'm just gonna do that from now on. Like, shit, I should have just done that. That's me. Why didn't I show up in freaking sandals and a t-shirt? That would have been way simpler. Yeah, and after the press conference, he's like, hey, I want to buy you a suit. And I'm like, I don't wear suits. I'm good. Like, and then he's like, well, but I want you to know that there's no hard feelings. I'm just like, I appreciate that, but I still don't want a suit.
Did you think he was sincere?
Yeah. I think he's sincere. I have no reason to believe he's not. And generally, I believe Dana to be a relatively good person within what you would consider a good person. Obviously, certain times in the past, I think he, maybe held on to grudges a little too long or stuff like that. But no, yeah, of course, I thought he was sincere.
Was it a nice suit at least?
I don't know. He said, oh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was going to be. He said, hey, I'm going to set you up with so and so and get you a custom suit. And then I said, I'm good.
You're like, nah,
I'm
give me
good.
some rainbows, some
Yeah,
custom rainbows.
I don't wear those.
Oh, okay. Well, I wear them.
No,
They're
no,
comfy.
no. I said I don't wear suits.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
I actually do. If you want to hear my, I wear toe hold sandals only. So
okay.
yes.
Did you ever get grief for wearing, like, not dressing up for the press conference? Did they ever tell, like, yo, Ben,
No, they don't
that's
care.
good.
I think I don't know why they put those. I don't remember if it was an email or I don't remember what it was. It says, hey, wear some nice shit. And no, but then it's like you can wear whatever you want. So like, why didn't I do that? Tank top or sandals. Let's go.
You wore a suit to your wedding though, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure your wife appreciated it.
You know what? I should have fought her a little more. Now I tell her, I drew a line in the sand. I said I will wear some nice clothes if we go to someone else's wedding, but I will not wear dress shoes. Only sandals. Only sandals.
So
that's
blazer, dress shirt, dress shorts,
blazer,
but sandals.
That's too much. That's too much.
Too much?
Not that much. Not that much. So I'll wear like a nice.
What about tie?
Nah, it's too much.
Nah.
I'll wear like a nice button-down shirt and some nice pants, but I'm wearing sandals. So I drew the line in the sand.
The epilogue part of your book was interesting to me. And it's like how the book's presented, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that thing that happened. Obviously your fight with Jake was very publicized. And you opened up a lot about it in the book. And like the way you wrote the book, I think is very engaging, because me usually, like, I'm more of a visual person, and I get really, really bored when I read books because I just lose interest. But like I felt like the way you wrote it was like I would imagine like you were talking to me. So props on that, on how you kind of wrote it out, because I felt, me being more of a visual person, you were still able to keep my interest when I was reading through it. One interesting thing that you wrote on there was the sparring that you had with Gabe Rosado.
Yeah, I don't know. That was preposterous.
Talk to me a little bit about that for those that would be interested in the book. You mentioned that he did not take it easy on you.
Well, I'm sure he took it. I'm sure he took it what he thought was easy, right? But as you guys saw, I wasn't very good at boxing. So hey, yeah, we pull up to Freddie Roach's gym for this. It's like it's not like it's like the first session, right? I go on Monday. I show up. They says show up at this address. And then there's this dude, and I don't know boxing, right? But my buddy's like, oh, that dude, he fought for a world title or something. And I'm like, okay, surely Freddie's not gonna put me in there against him, right? And
yeah,
then
you would think
Freddie's like, hey, you're up. And listen, I think Freddie said, like, take it easy on him. and I'm sure this dude wasn't going 100%, but he started cracking me. And then eventually, okay, I'm like, all right, well, I really got two options right now. Number one, I try to hit him back hard. That's not going to go very well for me, I'm sure, right? And so then option number two, I'm like, hey, bro, like, I know you're a lot better than me. I'm like, I really don't want to get knocked out in practice. How about you don't hit me that hard? And he's like, well, that's what you're gonna be in a fight. I'm like, I understand. I've been in plenty of fights before. Okay. But if you knock me out right now, I can't, I'm done, right? Like, you can't keep training after you get knocked out. So yeah. So he was like, okay, fine. I don't think he loved it, but he was like, okay, cool. And then he worked with me a little bit after, and then and then actually I went with two other dudes that day. The second one was, you could tell he was pretty good. And he kind of, I think he took it easy on me, of course. And the third guy, he wasn't very good, and I actually did like an average against him.
Yeah,
But then that dude, hold on,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah, yeah.
done yet.
Oh, okay, go,
That
go,
dude,
go.
okay, so then the dude that wasn't very good,
Yeah.
I think I sparred 3 rounds with him, and I did okay, like I didn't kill him or nothing. Like, I'm not too good at boxing, right? But then so the way they did it was like, I don't know if maybe I did 6 rounds, maybe it was 2 with each partner or something to that effect. It was either 2 or 3, so either 6 or 9. I don't recall at this point in time. Then that guy stayed in, and he went with this other kid who was really good. Bro, he got knocked cold. The dude was dead in sparring.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know who either the dudes were. The second dude that came in against the guy that I went with that wasn't good, he killed him. He was on the ground like that, and I'm like, "Yup, I didn't want to end up like that." Like, dude, I don't want to box Gabe Rosado. Sorry.
Yeah, the wild card has a reputation of like being like, you swim with the sharks, man, like because of how high profile of a gym is there that is. But also, I know Gabe's a cool guy. So
Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy afterwards.
yeah,
So,
like,
like he gave me a little pushback when I said it, and then he's like, all right, fine.
yeah, I don't know if like, and I've noticed this like from some boxers that like, they're like, man, like, I've grinded my whole career and these guys are getting this opportunity. And it's like, well, bro, you got to look at the business sense. Like, they have a big name and they're cashing in on their name. That's really what it is. But like, I've gotten that sense from a lot of boxers, and I don't know.
He seemed to be reasonable. And then there was another dude that was really cool. I see him once in a while. He was super nice. I think his name is Callum Walsh. Is that his name?
Yeah, Callum Walsh. He's a up and comer.
Yeah, he was super cool.
Yeah, he's I think Dana has some sort of interest in his career, because he's been to the last 2 local shows that he's had. Dana's been there, so I think there's some sort of partnership.
That guy was really cool. Kind of, giving me a little bit of advice here and there. And yeah, I mean, Freddie's was awesome, and boxing just that's just not me.
Hey, like you said, the theme of your book, like, you tried it and you're not afraid to fail. You gave it a shot, man, and you got paid. Like you said, you laughed when you got the check. But you mentioned in the book that you saw the fight that you had with Masvidal, the knockout, and you mentioned that you don't remember much of it, but this one you didn't see. Why not?
No, I mean,
or you've seen the Jake Paul fight that you had already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever watched it in its entirety, but yeah, I've seen. I see I cracked him once. I always think like, oh man, he should have went down. That would have been tremendous. No, yes, I've seen it. Yeah, it's not that good at boxing.
With the punches you did land, I know you mentioned in the book, like, if just a centimeter, like, I would have gone him out, and none of this would have happened. Just overall, like, did you feel you underestimated him and you didn't take him that serious, or
no
just he's a lot better than what we all gave him credit for?
Yeah, that second part of it. But I worked hard. I will just and people gave me shit for kind of my physique, which my physique is never ever that great, regardless of if I'm in pinnacle shape for myself or not. But man, I had my hip done. I literally couldn't do anything for 4 months, so yeah.
Yeah, you had it in September, and then 3 months later, I think you were training, right?
Yeah. So it was like, and and the whole story there is, my doctor told me I couldn't do anything for a year. And so they, you know, they were calling me and saying, "Hey, do you want to fight?" And I'm like, "I kind of want to fight." And I kind of felt like pretty good at that point, you know. Um, and I saw John Wayne Park kicking a bag on video, and he was I want to say 4 months out from his surgery. He had done the same exact surgery like a month before. And so I hit him up. I'm like, "Hey, how are you kicking that bag like that, bro? My doctor said wait a year. And that's the leg you had surgery on."
And he's a lot older than you too.
Yeah. And then he's like, "My doctor said 3 months and I can do whatever the hell I want." I'm like, "Well, why do you say that? It's bullshit." So I called my doctor and we got it all worked out.
How did it all get worked out?
Well, my doctor said, I said, "Why does this dude get to do some shit? And he's only 3 months, 4 months out or whatever." And he said, "Well, that guy's fail rate, that surgeon's fail rate is way higher than mine." And I said, "Well, what's your fail rate?" And he said, 1 in 998. And I said, "I'll take my chances." That's nothing. That's
Hey,
like 0.1% or something. Like, give me a break on that one.
talk about a doctor flex too.
Yes. For real.
Mine's a 1 in
998,
bro.
I'm like, I'm fine then. Forget that.
But even with that, he told you don't take the fight, right? Like he's like, no, don't risk it.
I don't even think I asked him about a fight. I don't even think I asked him about a fight. I said, "Why is this dude training?" And I can't train. I want to train. I mean, because I actually, like after the fights, like I kept training wrestling and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I have an active life. I want to be active. I don't want to not be doing things.
The hip, perfect now, good, no problems.
Awesome. Yeah,
yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad your quality of life is a lot awesome. Better from what it was before. Speaking like of the aftermath of the KO, because I know a lot of the book is having to deal when you get a bump in the road. How was that for you dealing with, just because of how high magnitude of a fight was? Yeah. And now even more, we're in the age of social media where everything becomes a meme. And, there's a lot of attention on Jake, especially from the MMA fan base, because a lot of the MMA fan base absolutely do not like him.
Yeah. They hate him. No, I went back to living my normal life, right? Went back right to where I was before. So, I mean, obviously it's like there's some like teenagers that are, middle school kids. They're probably the worst. But that's it. Otherwise, my life is my life, same as it was.
So oh man, you didn't sulk about it. You're just like, yeah, whatever. I got paid.
I mean, obviously, it would have been a lot nicer if I would have won.
Well, yeah,
right? Yeah, it'd be a lot better. But what am I doing? Sit here and cry about it? Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna just keep moving forward.
You have young kids. Were they at all like? I know kids are like really bad with like picking on them and stuff. Did they like get that on that end, or they were good?
I just went and had lunch with my kids at school today. So they had back-to-back lunch periods. I had lunch with them both. No.
That's great. Like that's great, man. Because I know it's a lot different from when we grew up compared to how they're growing up, especially like with the bullying and like you do something dumb and it gets posted on the internet.
When I was a kid too.
Yeah, but like now it's like it gets magnified to like millions of people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've heard. So my kids are not on social media. They don't have phones, nothing. And we're gonna try to keep it that way for a while. So I've heard the one way that actually made sense to me, where someone described it, was when we were kids. If you got picked on for something, and I'm sure I did, and I'm sure you did, you went home and it was fine. It kind of went away, right? And now with teenagers, they go home and they have their phone, and it continues through social media. So there's almost no respite from it. It's like it happens in school, happens as soon as they get home, because they're on their phones, and so just that cycle, it's just constant for them. And that's the one way I've heard it, because it makes sense. I really do believe, like, in human nature, like that's just middle school kids are kind of dicks to each other, and high school too, obviously.
Yeah, that's true, and it did go away when you went home, but now like they could upload something to YouTube and it lives on YouTube forever, and you like keep getting reminded of it. And now even if you tell your kid, go punch that kid if he's bullying you, you get in trouble for telling him to go punch the kid, when like
you wouldn't get that much trouble.
Well, yeah, I don't know, Ben. Like you'll be all right. Yeah, you tell a little kid, go punch this kid in the face for picking on you. Hey, you mentioned that part of the book. He has this fight against Anderson Silva, and I just got to ask, because it's going to happen next weekend. Overall, what do you think about it, man?
I don't know. I'm not putting too much thought into it. I think Anderson Silva is obviously really high level compared to myself, and he's bigger than me. So I really think it could go either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, I
I've
mean, that's
heard.
what betting odds say too. Betting odds are relatively close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like people just bring up how Anderson's looked in the last two boxing fights, and,
He
and
looked
the
good,
fact
right?
that it's yeah, and the
He
fact that
looked
it's
good.
Anderson Silva.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
I just said that. He's really good.
yeah. But a lot of I don't know. I feel like in general, people are just like, "There's no way this guy can beat Anderson Silva. There's no
Yeah.
way."
Well, we'll see. I didn't think he could beat me, and I didn't think he could beat Tyron, and he did those things. So, yeah, you never know.
I totally did not think he would beat you, bro. I
Yeah.
was I was all in
Son
on
of a
you
bitch.
just because of the Robbie how you reacted with the
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler fight.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
wish it was me too.
you know, um, I'm sure you heard this. I'm sure you think they're ridiculous, but there is a ton of people that think all of Jake's fights are fixed, that there's no
Yeah.
KO
They're
clause.
idiots.
What do you think about all that?
The one thing they did this is obviously false. The one thing they did try to do, they tried to pull over on me. I don't even know if I ever said this, so it'll be funny to see the reaction of this if they respond to it. One day his guy called me and he said,
Who's
"Hey Ben."
Nakisa?
Yes,
Okay.
Nikisa called me and he said, "Hey Ben." He said Trill. He said this. He said it was Triller, but now, that's nonsense. It wasn't Triller. He said Triller's worried you're gonna do some MMA moves. And I said, okay, and like I'm not, but whatever. And he said, well, so how about if you sign a contract that you'll get fined $100,000 for every time you do an MMA move? I said, well, I already signed a contract. Why would I sign that? That sounds stupid. And he's like, well, come on, it would make Jake feel good, and Triller really wants it. So, well, it's like, is there a plus for me? Is there only a minus here? Like, how about if I don't do one, you give me an extra couple $100,000? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, then get lost. Like that's dumb. Like, no. And that was really the only time anything like that happened. But it was just like, I don't know if Jake was nervous I was gonna elbow him or who knows, or a kick. I don't know. But yeah, so they said, how about every time you do something, a non-boxing move, that you get fined $100,000?
What
How about no?
signifies
That's
a
stupid.
non-boxing move? Did they have
That well,
like
yeah. I mean, the conversation is obviously longer. I obviously asked that because it's a preposterous statement. But no, nothing like that. And obviously, I mean, the math that people don't do on this one because most people are too stupid. Is that, and this is the last thing I got to go because I was supposed to be
yeah?
out here by 3. I'm already late.
Okay.
Is that if I beat up Jake Paul, you realize I can do whatever the hell I want, right? If I want to go fight his brother, I fight his brother. If I want to box someone else, I box someone else. Like, I'm going to make so much more money, right? If I beat him up. So the notion that I would take money to not beat him up is preposterous.
No, when you have the book as a whole as a work, and you're writing the memoir, and you're going through all those memories through life, like how was that process? Was it like a therapeutic thing for you, or was it something where like you had to really think like, oh man, like do I remember how this worked? Like I got to call my parents to see if this is accurate.
No, I think after the book was finished, my mom, my dad, my brother, my wife, I think my high school coach, maybe, I think they all read it and just kind of gave feedback on certain segments. And there was not a lot, but there was a couple where, they were like, well, I think it actually happened this way, or I think that actually happened, or, something to that effect. But for the most part, my memory is very sharp. I'm very detail oriented in that. And so there weren't a ton of things. Like there's just a couple little things like that, but nothing major.
Yeah, you touch on those a little couple things where you've had like little memory losses a little bit later in the book, and I'll touch on that. But when you write a memoir, man, like do you like sit back and think like, man, I had a pretty damn cool life. Like I did stuff.
Yeah. Well, I guess you know what's the one. It's the ending paragraph. I think in the second to last chapter. Man, when I read the audiobook, I just kept like I couldn't get through it without getting emotional.
Yeah.
It's something about how if I could look back and so when I was 11, I decided to quit baseball to pursue wrestling more actively because I knew I wanted to be good at it. So something like if the me now could look back and see that kid who was so determined and then see what he's achieved, I know I would be so proud of him. Something to that effect.
Yeah, like I said, I know in one part of the book you said something like you don't really believe in hope. But like it kind of gave me hope, dude. Like, no, I can still do stuff.
But that's not okay. So to me, that's not hope. To me, that's like, actually, I was just looking at this book. I did a book review podcast or 2 of them with Brian Callen and Ray Kroc's book, Bumming Talent. It's funny because he kind of wasn't shit till he was 54. right? That was when he got into the game with McDonald's. And obviously then he became crazy wealthy and successful. But the hope thing is like, you just got to go out there and get after it. And there's so many people who are scared of, like, they don't even start because they're afraid to fail. So they never even start. And it's like, I'm not worried about that. Like, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to try and I'm going to try. And I know some things aren't going to go my way and some things probably are going to go my way. And that's just kind of how it works out. And, you know, if I keep building on everything, then it's going to usually turn out pretty well.
All right, Ben Askren, I know you got to leave. Just in like 15 seconds, just ask me this. This was a fan question. Fantasy fight between you and Habib. Whose wrestling game is better, you or his?
Yeah, he was great. And so I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
All right, man.
Non-committal.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, Ben, yeah, of course, man. Thank you for doing this.
Guys.
It's great seeing you. And yes, Ben Askren's book, Funky, comes out October 25th. That was Ben Askren. Ben, thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much for watching this video. And make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Up TV. And give us a follow online as well at Fight Up TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.